Welcome to Super Showdowns, the ultimate destination for epic battles and legendary showdowns. Join us as we put iconic superheroes, villains, and mythological figures against each other in thrilling matches of strength, strategy, and skill. The cosmos was trembling, not from war or apocalypse, but from silence. An eerie mathematical stillness had begun to creep across realities. Stars ceased their fusion. Ancient magical nexuses no longer pulsed with power. Even the whispers of time slowed to a stuttering crawl. In the deepest sanctum of the Tower of Fate, high above the boundaries of Earth's dimension, and nestled in a place no telescope could ever find, Nabu the Wise, Lord of Order, stood unmoving. His golden helmet, forever impassive, reflected the flames of his floating candles, all flickering to one side, pulled subtly toward a point that did not exist in this universe. Something unnatural had come into the flow of the multiverse. The Helm of Fate hummed as Nabu spoke through Kent Nelson's body. The tides of chaos are being rewritten, not by wild magic, but by will. The Lords of Order had long warned of a day like this. A being not of magic, not of divine decree, but of pure, scientific inevitability. One who could observe every outcome and through observation alone, bend all things to his vision. That day had arrived, far across the fabric of creation, beyond the veils of magic and the ruins of collapsed timelines. Dr. Manhattan stood on the edge of a dead world, orbiting a blue sun. His glowing form cast a gentle luminescence across the scorched surface of what had once been a thriving civilization, one he had watched perish, not with grief, but with curiosity. He blinked, or the quantum equivalent of blinking, and multiple timelines spiraled open before him. In one, he simply turned away. In another, he reached across time and met a being cloaked in gold and magic. In yet another, they destroyed each other in an unobservable instant, but only one thread held his attention. "The helmet calls me," he murmured, his voice vibrating molecules rather than air. He reached out, and space unfurled like paper. In the Tower of Fate, the air grew tight. The walls trembled, not from magic, but from raw atomic reordering. Time slowed, reality bent, and Dr. Manhattan appeared without drama or thunder, just was blue calm, unshakably curious. "You are Nabu, you are not human, yet you require one to speak." Kent's form stirred as Nabu responded. "And you are Jonathan Osterman, a being who believes in neither fate nor free will, yet alters both." "I perceive all possibilities," Manhattan replied. "But you are an anomaly. Your existence refracts my perception. Magic does not obey. Quantum laws." Nabu's voice boomed from the helm. "Because magic predates them. We are the equation the universe forgot it solved." They stood, gods of different laws, at the edge of mutual understanding. But the cosmos was not at peace. Across countless planes, Nabu had sensed the spiraling decay. Dr. Manhattan's presence was unraveling the balance. Magic across realms had begun to dim. Realities rooted in chaos and imagination were being overwritten by certainty. Manhattan wasn't merely observing, he was stabilizing things into cold permanence, order without rhythm, logic without life. "You must be stopped," Nabu said. "I have heard this before," Manhattan replied calmly. "You're not the first to say it." Nabu raised his hand, and the tower shifted, no longer a sanctuary but a weapon. Sigils glowed, dimensions folded inward, and ancient spells carved into the air itself. The tower, alive with the will of the Lords of Order, sealed the time stream. Here, even Manhattan's omniscience was dulled. "You bring entropy masked as balance," Nabu said. "The multiverse is not a clock to be observed. It is a river to be sailed, and sometimes to be stormed." Manhattan tilted his head. "You believe you can win. I don't need to win, Nabu said. I need to remind the universe what it means to be unpredictable. Beyond the mortal eye, forces gathered. The lords of chaos stirred in the abyss, excited at the prospect of war between logic and magic. In far-off timelines, watchers and monitors paused to observe. The spectre turned his gaze, momentarily unsure of justice, in a world where Dr. Manhattan rewrote causality itself. The battle had not yet begun, but its consequences already rippled. Backward and forward, in a hidden chamber of the tower, an enchanted mirror shattered, reflecting not Kent Nelson, but an unfamiliar version of him, already lost to time. The tower screamed in pain. Dr. Manhattan looked down. This construct is alive. It is sacred, Nabu said. Unlike you, it serves more than itself. Manhattan stepped forward. You speak of service, yet you possess a man-like armor. Nabu's voice rose, thunderous, echoing with divine command. And you strip men of meaning by making them irrelevant. The candles extinguished. The floor beneath them warped. Magic and quantum power began to clash before the first blow. Even the walls of reality protested. From deep within the helm, Nabu whispered an incantation older than matter. Runes appeared mid-air. Golden chains of fate coiled through dimensions. They did not aim to bind, they aimed to isolate Manhattan from his every timeline. Dr. Manhattan raised a single hand, and the golden chains paused, splitting into multiple, probable strands, caught between what could be and what was, a stare-off between infinity and eternity. And then, the Tower of Fate exploded into warlight. The first blow had been struck, not by fist, but by philosophy. The Tower of Fate was unrecognizable. Once a place of sacred equilibrium, nestled between the folds of space and dimensions, it now churned like a dying star. Walls bent into impossible geometries, staircases folding into themselves, the air pregnant with ruptured ley lines. The fabric of magic screamed, trying to keep pace with something that didn't belong. Dr. Manhattan had arrived. He did not stride, nor float, nor teleport in any conventional sense. He simply was. A glowing figure of cerulean light and cosmic calm, standing in the center of the tower's grand atrium, where eldritch symbols spun like planets around a sun. The tower, alive in its own right, instantly reacted, lighting its defense spells, triggering ancient wards not used since the Age of Arian. Even the sentinel runes of Nabu awakened, spiraling across space and curling into layers of astral energy meant to keep reality stable. But nothing remained stable in Manhattan's presence. He spoke without moving his lips. This place exists by the permission of your laws. I am not bound by them. The Tower of Fate groaned, its corridors collapsing into mirror portals, throwing off shards of raw destiny as if trying to eject him. Nabu, still within the helm resting upon Kent Nelson's form, responded not with fear, but with furious precision. We do not permit desecration, Nabu intoned. His voice echoed across time itself, laced with the weight of 10,000 years. You do not merely observe, Osterman, you corrode. You calcify fate into certainty. You erase wonder. Dr. Manhattan's eyes flickered white. I bring clarity. You bring death to the unpredictable. Nabu raised his hand, and with a whisper older than the earth, the battlefield transformed. They were no longer in the Tower of Fate. Instead, they stood upon a magical battleground constructed from the 7 planes of enchantment, a realm carved from pure sorcery. Floating islands hung in the void, tethered by chains of divine law. Rivers of stardust roared beneath their feet. The sky was parchment inked with prophetic spells, and each breath here carried echoes of forgotten gods. In this place, Manhattan's power was diminished, not gone, but no longer absolute. Probability here was bent by will, by faith, by incantation, and Nabu had home advantage. He split himself into 7 avatars, each representing a primal layer of arcane power, fate, robed in gold, wielding the ankh of authority, chaos, swirling with madness, channeling wild magic, light, radiant and pure, a beacon in the battle, death, cloaked in shadows whose eyes reflected entropy, dream, elusive and shifting, whispering in tongues, spirit, burning with the souls of those who once bore the helm. War, armored in brass and blue flame, fists blazing with battle chants. The heavens shook as these avatars circled Dr. Manhattan, casting sigils into the sky that bent light and thought alike. But Manhattan did not flinch. He lifted a hand, and the moment he did, dozens of copies of himself materialized, each standing within a slightly different moment in time. Some walked backward, some moved forward, some simply stared, watching the confrontation unfold from infinite perspectives. "I see every outcome," the Manhattan Collective said. "In 99% of them, you fall." Nabu's voices merged in a thundering celestial response. "Then witness the 1%. The avatars struck. Magic exploded like a nova. The avatar of war clashed with one of Manhattan's temporal doubles, conjuring axes forged from the scream of Mars and slashing at time itself. The avatar of death soared like a falling star, unweaving the future paths Manhattan relied upon. The avatar of chaos danced through the battlefield, shattering quantum stability with unpredictable spells that turned atoms into birds, stars into ink. But Manhattan adapted. With a single gesture, he inverted the magical landscape, turning the battlefield into a quantum loop. Nabu's avatars began repeating their actions involuntarily, trapped in recursive echoes of themselves. Even their spells folded backward, crashing into their own origins. "Do you see?" Manhattan said softly, his voice now coming from a billion angles. "Your magic is powerful, but predictable. Time eats itself." Nabu, struggling within the bay loop, accessed a forbidden reserve. He cast a thought backward through the wellspring of Isfet, unlocking an incantation so ancient it came without language. The seal of Thoth manifested, a crescent blade forged from uncreated thought. With it, he slashed through the paradox, destroying the loop. Reality screamed as time fell out of rhythm for a heartbeat. All but one of Manhattan's avatars vanished. The rest had been tethered to that loop. Only the prime version remained, tilting his head with mild curiosity. "A rare outcome," he said. "Interesting." But now, Manhattan was no longer testing. He was acting. He raised both hands, and Nabu's entire being unraveled. Kent's body contorted as he was split into timelines that had never existed. In one, he died as a child. In another, he never found the helmet. In yet another, he was Nabu himself, forgotten in time. The helmet of fate cracked, the cloak burned into threads of concept. Kent Nelson screamed, a mortal soul caught between infinite potentialities. Yet fate endured. From beyond the veil, from the realm even gods fear to touch, Nabu reached into limbo. Not the afterlife, but the library of the unwritten. A place where unrealized events, thoughts and broken futures slumber. From it, he pulled the Chrono-Glyph, a single glyph that had no past or future. A moment the multiverse never accounted for. A variable Manhattan could not see. "I cannot perceive this," Manhattan admitted. Nabu took his chance. He slammed the glyph into existence. The magical realm stopped. Not froze, stopped. Even the concept of cause and effect dimmed, leaving only one moment, the moment Nabu chose. And in that moment, Dr. Fate cast his final spell. His words echoed through the bones of dying stars. "By the weave of Weird, by the flame of Anun-Ra, by Order's last breath, let this god be removed." It was not a spell of death. It was exile. Golden chains of paradox emerged from the glyph, wrapping around Dr. Manhattan, not to hurt him, but to deny him place. They wrapped around his essence, not his body, isolating him from the mystical. Strata of the multiverse! You're not being defeated, Nabu gasped, barely conscious, blood dripping from Kent's lips. You're being edited out. Dr. Manhattan looked down as the chains ignited with timeless flame. I see now, he whispered as his glow dimmed. There are things not meant to be calculated. His body phased in and out of reality. Then, nothing. He was gone. Not destroyed, not dead, removed. The realm fell quiet. The 7 avatars of Nabu drained, flickered and faded back into the helm. The magical battlefield collapsed behind them like a dream ending. Stars returned to their constellations. Rivers of stardust went silent. And then the Tower of Fate reappeared. But it was broken. Half of it had collapsed into a dimension of sleep. The helm of fate lay cracked and smoldering. Kent Nelson was alive, but barely, breathing heavily, eyes wide with exhaustion, clothes torn, flesh marked by burns that no science could explain. The cost had been everything, even Nabu's essence flickered, faint, echoing only faintly through the cracked helm. From across the multiverse, those who could sense such things took notice. The spectre paused and lowered his hood in solemn respect. The phantom stranger whispered a name no one had heard in eons. The Lords of Chaos, for the first time in millennia, retreated in silence. And somewhere in the farthest corner of unbeing, Dr. Manhattan hovered, unseen by time, untouched by space, pondering the one thing he had never fully understood: magic.